I think anybody that's built distribution, they're safe. Because that's maybe the hardest, that's like the strongest moat right now. Right? Because for me to become actually AI powered is not hard. For me to build distribution is becoming a lot harder.
I just think right now, the AI writing is not up there.
This technology at this time we are at, I think AI can be used to leverage on ideas faster, cheaper, better.
Hi guys, welcome to our latest episode of Building in India. It's a podcast we have for first-time founders. We invite founders, investors, industry leaders who talk about their experiences, real-life struggles. And our objective is to help first-time Indian founders build amazing companies. This time, we have a really smart guest, Anirudh, co-founder and chief growth officer of Lyzer.AI. After graduating from Columbia, Anirudh worked in US for 6 years. He has worked all over the world, Latin America, Europe, Africa. He also wrote a great book that sold more than 5,000 copies. And he has taught an AI course at Growth School. And he does AI workshops at Microsoft, at Domino's. So he has been an AI guy throughout his life. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, Pushkar. First of all, I wish I did AI throughout my life. I feel like the last 3 years maybe has been the jam.
But we have done so many things in AI.
But yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough, I think, to join Shiva, who started the company at the right time. And I think life is mostly a lot about timing. And I think we're on the right place, right time. So we'll see.
100%.
So let's just jump straight in. We're sitting here in Ulsur in Bangalore. There are probably like 300 AI startups in the 2-kilometer radius. Everybody's building in AI across the country. So what are you guys doing so different, and what is it going to impact?
Great question. I mean, have you heard of Lost Funk? I think Paras Chopra started Lost Funk. So I think like he's up the road. So there's clearly a lot of like AI density in Bangalore. And first of all, thank you for having me here. When you said, hey, we'll do it at Beehive, I was like, yeah, I'm happy to do it come from the second floor to the first floor to do this. So thank you for
We
that.
saved you the Bangalore commute.
Yes, yes, we were talking about that quite a bit before this, right? So yes. So in terms of, I think, by the way, just to give you context, when we started Lyzer, Shiva started in 2023 August, and comes with the word analyzer. So it was actually a data analyst product. So you could upload Excel files, it'll give you visualizations, insights. Today, essentially what ChatGPT can do, like in minutes, right? And then I think Shiva comes from a sales and revenue background. And then I've known Shiva, I would say, the last 10, 15 years, very on and off. So our first job out of undergrad was at Tesco. So that's where I met Shiva, and he used to sell t-shirts as a side hustle along with coding is what I guess both of us were trying to do at that point. And so when we started in 2023, it was a data analyzer product. And then we pivoted into something known as a full stack agent framework. So basically a platform to say, hey, we'll help you build AI products. Today, we have evolved that into building agents. So you can automate a lot of workflows using AI and agents today. And I think for Shiva, it comes from a personal project or like a passion itself, which is like, man, even though he's a computer science grad, he really stopped coding. And then because of AI, that whole wave, he was like, man, I'm just so happy building stuff. And it would be great if I could make it easier for the world to build AI products. So I think it came from that. And then I was running something called Everything AI before that, which is like an AI tools marketplace. So something like Futurepedia, which is also there, something like Hugging Face, but less LLM focused. And then I joined him at the end of December of 2023. And if you look at the space, actually we have iterated a lot, because I think to your question, we started off with saying, hey, you have a pre-built data product. You want a private chat GPT? Here is an SDK, which is like single line of code. Add your data, add your LLM, and you can run with it. And then around April of 2024, this whole hula around, you can automate sales. So Jason Lemkin from SaaS, he put out a tweet saying, listen, it'd be really cool if you could automate sales. So we literally in 2 weeks, we put out a product called JSON with a Z, right? And so we actually sold that product for like a good 6 months. And I think over a period of time, what has happened is because a lot of the enterprises have moved so quickly, their goal is they'll move horizontal, right? So they want to build the AI infra stack end to end. And a lot of these larger companies at the end of the day want to make money through hosting and through compute and through chips, right? So we have to, in some sense, either verticalize or we have to go super niche or in a super boring industry as a startup. Otherwise, we will get
Like late adopter industry.
Yeah, late adopter, or like it also helps the barrier to entry is high, but you've built distribution in the past. And so for us, so we think of us as we have a lot of these pre-built super agents. So if you want to automate sales, here is like a package. So we're like a Lego block.
Got it.
Right? Take this block. Oh, but you know what? You don't want Harry Potter's hair to be white or black. Hey, you want it brown? We'll customize that for you. So we have that for sales, we have that for marketing, but we have picked banking as our BFSI as our number one vertical that we want to go after. And we picked BFSI because
Isn't that the hardest place to sell as well?
which may actually surprisingly, they're very open to tech adoption. JPMC are actually one of the first, Bloomberg, one of the first folks to build their own LLM. JPMC built, they have a massive, I remember speaking to folks at Morgan Stanley, they have a 300% AI team. And we spoke to the head of AI/ML, did a workshop with them, like a 1.5 hour session with them. And they're also actually building a lot of the stuff internally also. So we can't continue staying vertically. Sorry, horizontal. So I think, Sandeep, to your point, it helps that if the barrier to entry is high, it helps that, it's highly regulated because our focus is becoming, hey, we'll be super safe and responsible. We'll reduce hallucination by adding, let's say, workflows around machine learning. So I think there's some angles we're trying to do on the full stack. But otherwise, essentially on the larger scheme of things, we are competing with ChatGPT, Google, Microsoft in the agent building space. But also there are like other players like LangGraph, Relevance AI, which have raised, and Crew AI, which have raised anywhere between $18 to $30 million as a seed in the US. So competition's stiff. You still got to get into it. I feel like it's one of the biggest movements. All of us are part of it. And I think it makes sense for us to build something. I think worst case scenario for us maybe is like, hey, we learned a lot. Hopefully investors made their money back or broke even. And we moved on to something which is more positive, right? But best case scenario in some sense will be 100x or 1000x of what it could look like. So I think it makes sense for us to take that bet and be in the space.
Yeah, there's a massive upside.
Yeah.
But just to go back to what you said, and right now, everyone's talking about AI. To me, it feels like the next gold rush, that we are in the AI age.
Yeah.
How would you explain to a layman what is an AI agent?
Yeah.
And why is everyone rushing around to build an AI agent?
Yeah.
What can an AI agent do?
I think a good analogy is in the non-technical world, let's say today you want to book a cab. You'll be like, okay, you have Uber. You'll pick the location, pick up location, drop location, and then you have Google Maps that takes you.
Sure. Right.
That's essentially SaaS today in some sense. Okay. Or that's not autonomous. Agentic is driverless cars, which is like you say, it could almost preempt saying, oh, it's 6 p.m. You're going to leave the office. It's like the cab automatically comes, takes you home, and then you have a conversation. So you don't have to like look at the maps, pick up, drop location. So, and you have a driverless car. And
So the human machine interface becomes very seamless, and that gets picked up, and all the underlying workflow gets executed without any interface with the human, pretty much.
100%. I think that's exactly where everyone's trying to get to. But I think in the technical world, the way to think about it is, so you go to ChatGPT, you type a prompt, and then gives you an answer, and you keep going back and forth.
Right.
That's still not an agent. An agent would be almost like, maybe you gave one prompt, but it did like a set of 7-8 tasks, and then finally give you the output. So an agent actually consists of an LLM, which is actually maybe let's say an OpenAI or a Gemini, any of this. It has tools connected to it. So imagine it's connected to a HubSpot or a Slack. And then it basically has memories or modules. So it has short-term memory, hey, don't be toxic, right? And then you could add something, let's say like a knowledge base. So you add context to it. So these 4 things kind of put together create an agent. So an example of an agent could be is like, I built a research agent where I want to do research about a startup. So you could actually build an agency. Okay, I built a research agent. Now you know as a VC, dude, to do research about a startup, I need to look at Google. I need to look at LinkedIn. I need to look. So you can be very good at saying, this is what I do as a human task on a day-to-day to do research. But you'll tell the agent, hey, look at these places for getting the research done. Now for startup information, maybe you can like say, oh, I'll upload PDFs. I'll upload URLs, right? And you'll be like, hey, listen, I want you to have short-term memory, long-term memory, because I might come back 6 months from now and check it out, right? And then you have an LLM, which could be Perplexity, because, and you can pick and choose which LLM that you want. Like for example, Gemini is great for blogs. Perplexity is great for research. OpenAI is still great for, let's say, like abstract thinking and writing and things like that. So you can pick that, and then after that be like, okay, that's my first agent that I've built. Now I've done all this research. Okay, what do you want the second thing to do in terms of automation of workflow? So as long as the two of you, as Sandeep and Pushkar, if you're like, dude, I understand workflows, adding agent in the mix actually is a no-brainer. But you have to be very good at saying, this is exactly what I want as an output. This is what will give me high accuracy. This is what the tools I want to connect with.
Got it.
And then after that, whether it's a front end you build using Lovable or a Bolt, use us as backend, I think that doesn't matter.
Got it. So it's like essentially the workflows that we used to automate on Selenium and the similar tools way back. You're just saying that today we have a base layer, which could be any LLM that you plug in. Then you got proprietary data. You have the workflows.
Yeah.
So basically you're pointing it in the right direction and you're connected to LLM base or specific RAG models or something like that. And it throws you the output that makes sense to you.
If I can add another example. So we all played around with Zapier, let's say. In Zapier, what do? You very hard code saying, oh, from this trigger happens, go to this tool, right? With an agent, what you can do is, let's say I have a research agent and I say, do research across 5 areas. I mean, 5.
Like, so example that you said, go and look up Crunchbase, Traction,
Twitter, LinkedIn. So you don't have to say, go to Crunchbase first.
Okay.
Go to Twitter second. You just have to like do research. It will automatically go to all these 5, prioritize and say, dude, this is where I found the most accurate information. Here is a summary and give it to you. So it's like, in that way, it's a smart human. And that's why it's becoming a lot more relevant, because it is coming closer to having a really good employer manager do this work for you. And if you are someone who's very good at breaking down tasks, you'll be good at building agent workflows.
Agents, right.
And it's funny, I did a workshop in Mysore 2 weeks back. And I thought prompting is something that just came naturally. It felt like a lot of people didn't know how to prompt. And prompting actually is about you add as much context, like you're talking to an intern.
Which is same as when search came about. You need to know what to search for and what to look for. Here you should know what to prompt for.
Yeah.
And how to prompt it.
And even when Google, actually it's a great point, because even when Google is around, not a lot of people would be Google first.
Yeah.
Today also, you ask me a question, if you just think ChatGPT first, you'll get most answers. Today to a point where, oh, I want to do, I need help with financial planning, I need help with therapy, I need help with like solving a relationship with my wife. I mean, ChatGPT is unbelievable in that scenario. And then I have multiple folders. I have a folder for, let's say, Lyzer. I have a folder for my personal growth. So like you could create and just keep adding context. And that's what you have to get good at. Like start putting in the effort saying, oh, the next week, month, 6 months, I'm just going to keep adding context. And you could do that on the investing side.
Right.
Right? Like imagine all this context you're adding, not just like, I took a playbook from Bloom, I took a playbook from Accenture, but I added all my LinkedIn posts, right? And then all of that, you keep growing over time. So that'll, I think, become very powerful.
But that's what JPMC and Morgan Stanley have been building, right? A lot of investing agents that help, because they have so much data, so much information.
Yeah.
Now, instead of maybe using an Excel sheet or legacy software, they're building AI agents that can collect all that data and give them the best investing outcome.
Yeah. So I think anybody who is sitting on lots of data is the one that's winning, right? Because like, for example, I know a company that's like, oh, I paid Reddit like $10 million to get all their data, right? It didn't even Amazon or Microsoft pay Reddit to get a lot of data, because it's like, I want to, or even like coding information can I get from, let's say, a specific company? So once you have that data, then you have context, then I can get accuracy on the output. Now, for you in terms of building those agents, the agents is just like a layer of, or it can do summarization, it can do visualization, it can do generation or research. So they are now trying to not just build one agent, but combination of agents to say, okay, can I take something which is, I don't have, actually most banks are starting with something which is not like super private, right? They're starting with, let's say, marketing or a sales option.
Yeah.
Even with business process automation, it's like, so what AWS is doing or what Lyzer is doing is, we are giving you the option saying, oh, you want to build agents? Here, take my platform and deploy it virtually in your private cloud. So you are really...
So basically your data security and all of that is kind of super secure.
Yeah. And all the LLMs also, they're like, oh, you know what? It doesn't have to sit on AWS. Here, take my LLM. There's a connection. It will sit privately within AWS. Now you add, and mostly they anyway have their hosting on AWS or a GCP.
Right. Yeah.
So they're also building partnership with other LLMs saying, oh, okay, I know mine is good for X, but maybe Gemini is better for Y. Don't worry, I have a partnership or a similar model that you can use for this. And then they'll build their own models because, like, for example, Amazon's come up with Amazon Nova models. Accuracy is good. Like, they're much smaller and they're much cheaper. Like, they're 5x cheaper. So then they'll be like, hey, it gives me similar output. I want to save on costs. Why don't I use one of this model? So that's where I guess it's heading.
Yeah, understood. So it's kind of very interesting. I want to ask you this because you probably know I've been in basically global biz dev and GDM for a long, long time. So I have these repository of emails, documents, all of that I've collected over the last 15 years. Can I get agents to go through my email on specific folders and then create that source because of all this data stored, locked away, and pushing it one level further, can I do a ChatGPT sort of a B2C model where I create an interface? So today, if you're a startup and you have a GTM problem, ask Sandy.
Amazing. Very easy.
Could you do that?
Yeah. I mean, we've done workshops on how to essentially do that in like an hour. So good news is you're sitting on all of this data.
He told me already, Pushkar.
We should do a workshop.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be great if you got a lot of your GTM folks.
Yeah.
In an hour, let's see if you can put all that data, put a front end using a Lovable or a Bolt.
Sure.
And then add a Stripe and see if you can monetize it.
Sure.
That may be a good, fun workshop to do. But I think, Sandeep, to your point, so all this data you're sitting on,
Yeah.
right? What is an agent finally doing? You're adding this data. You're adding an LLM-like thing to it. And then you're like saying, do you want to connect to... So the agentic prowess, if you want to call it, really kicks in when you connect it to a tool. Otherwise, you can do that on ChatGPT also, right?
Yeah.
And you want to move it externally. You want to move it outside of ChatGPT. So I think to your point, you can use an agent, upload all your data, and then usually the way it works is each agent will have its own API key. So I just need to take that key and then I go to, let's say, like a Lovable or a Bolt. And today it's so good, you can just go to a Lovable and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to build a front end and I want to sell this thing as Ashley or whatever, right? And this is what I want the flow to be. And here are some example sites that are unbelievable. I want you to follow that. And here is this API key of this agent that I want you to call when somebody says whatever.
So basically, the user comes to the interface and presses a button or drops something on a sheet. You're triggering an agent to do a particular action and then retrieve it.
Yes.
So where do you codify the rules? So you basically, where do you do that handover from UX to the agent? It's kind of embedded?
So all the rules are codified within the agent.
Okay.
So the rules will be like rules around prompting, rules around what you want the output to be. So all the refinement will happen on the back end. On the front end, you'll only make sure it's pretty, the user experience is positive.
Right.
What do you want the output to be? You could take it one step further, which is like, oh, the output came, and then finally, oh, can I download it as a PDF? Can I connect it to, let's say, a Gmail and send the email? So that's the exciting part.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, so if I were to just step back here, if you are in a vocation or a job where you deliver value, but there is static learning and static knowledge. For example, I'm a financial planner. I am a lawyer. All of those people should be super afraid, right?
Yeah. So it's a little tricky. I think anybody that's built distribution, they're safe.
Okay.
Because that's maybe the hardest, that's like the strongest moat right now, right? Because for me to become actually AI powered is not hard. For me to build distribution is becoming a lot harder. They should be, I mean, it's this cliche.
That's the reason you still need to be my friend, no?
And yeah, it's good that the two of you are kind of building distribution and doing all of this, right? Which is I think become very relevant moving forward. So what we'll see in the short term is, let's say I had an accountant that was, I don't know, creating, let's say, my taxes for the year.
Sure.
Now, ChatGPT or an agent could do that.
Yeah.
Short term, all those Fiverr kind of folks, Upwork kind of folks, I think they'll take a hit. Definitely. Technical content, but people still haven't figured out how to use ChatGPT or agents effectively. So there's going to be an upskilling. So I think the upskilling market will go up in the short term. Some of the folks that have really figured out how to use AI, they will start, or rather they'll stop using a lot of the freelancer kind of folks. And then over a period of time, I think there'll be a need for massive job creation. And if you think about it, AI is creating this massive delta between the rich and the poor, right? I feel like with every tech revolution, that gap keeps going.
Exactly.
So there's lots of money keeps getting concentrated here. That means we have to figure out as entrepreneurs or individuals in the future, how do I tap into this money, say I can create value for the world, and then hire people with that.
So you need to figure out how to redistribute.
Yeah, or you have to be good at raising money. I have to be good at like knowing, hey, here's a problem I want to solve. So like we need entrepreneurship schools maybe,
Yeah.
right? We need to teach people. And I worry that way from an Indian standpoint. Like we've been so good at services.
And rote learning.
Yeah. Now, how do I teach you all the stuff that Americans are good at, right? Selling, building, creative
Marketing,
thinking, resilience. So I think it'll be interesting to see the new set of schools that come out. But I think short term, we'll take a hit.
Well, I would really love to know about your opinion about raising capital,
Sure.
because everyone's building an AI startup. But before that, just to take one step before, now how most of us use ChatGPT is you keep prompting.
Yeah.
Right. You ask a question, you get an answer, you prompt, and you try to define the question.
Yeah.
Now, can you use and you also talked about building process flows. Now, can you build an entire process flow where outcome or output of one agent becomes the input of second agent? And this process goes in an iterative way where you do 6-7 processes only through agents. You just give an input and you get an answer. Is it possible right now?
It's not only possible, it's already happening. And that's exactly what Lyzer does for you. From whether you're in banking or whether you're in sales.
Can you give an example?
So I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of sales. I'll give you an example of marketing. Then I'll give you something on the VC side also. So on the sales, if you look at a flow today, what do I have? Somebody sends 30, 40 emails. Like first I get email addresses from, let's say, an Apollo.
Yeah, you get an email address from a Zoom 4 and Apollo.
Yeah.
Any of those sources.
Yeah.
Step one.
Step one. Then somebody does research about those emails.
Sure.
Right? Then after I do the emails, I'll send a customized message either on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, or email.
Yeah. Which is a smart lead or a hair each. Same sort of a flow.
Correct. Or instantly drip. Right? And then from there, what is the second step? Somebody didn't respond, I'll follow up with them. Right? And then if they respond, okay, great, here is, you're showing interest, here's my Calendly link, let's chat. Then human conversation, then follow-ups, some custom conversations, closure. Okay? Now, this is current flow. Now, let's say that same flows with the agents. I have a research agent. I have a tool, let's say like an Apollo, I can connect directly to that agent.
Sure.
So I'm connecting all the email addresses. There's massive email database that sits here. Research agent, whatever you used to research, I've connected to it. Now it created customized emails. You create customized emails. Now you have an agent which is for composing emails. Basically, that process will be research agent plus composer email agent plus an agent that responds or schedules the conversations. And each of them is connected to a tool. The output of the first one connected to the input.
Wow.
Input or similarly output for the second connected to the third one. And then as a human, you can intervene at any point in time.
So you're breaking down that big process to these small slivers and then seeing how do you create the agents for all of these and then integrating that together with human interventions.
Yeah.
So basically you have like all dashboards, etc., so that you can change scripts, you can change personalizations all of that, right?
Yeah. So you can intervene anywhere. And just to give you context in the agentic world, when the output of an agent going to the input of the second one, the connection actually happens where the first agent is considered as a tool. So you're making a tool connection to the second agent. Okay. Now, I give you a sales example. Let's take marketing. Some news is trending. Let's say it's trending on LinkedIn, trending on Reddit. You can have an agent say, do research about the latest trending stuff. Pick that info. That info, hey, convert it into a blog piece. So I have a blog creation agent. Now the blog creation agents, if let's say Sandeep or Pushkar, you have a background knowing how to create amazing blogs. You'll be very good at saying, dude, here's the hook. Here's what you need to add.
Yeah.
Call to action, all that. So you have a blog agent. Now the blog agent saying, convert that content into Twitter, LinkedIn, Medium, let's say some 5 platforms. So you'll have an agent for each of those. So similarly, output of this going to the input of this. And then now I'm saying I have input of output of these 5 goes into buffer. And then from buffer, it goes out to the world. So now I give you an ideal scenario, but you might be like, what we're seeing in the world today is, oh, I'm not very happy with this output. So, hey, there's some tweak that's happening, that's happening. But we're already there in the automation of workflows. So what does Lyzer do? You wanted this whole thing. We get, let's say, quite a bit of inbound on a weekly basis. Their patterns start kicking in, no? Or for marketing is mostly like, oh, I have this content, but I want to convert in multiple languages. Sales will be like, oh, I want to also send it on WhatsApp, SMS, and email. Or not just HubSpot, but also Salesforce. So I've created, let's say, a stock agent, which is 60-70% there. Mostly the agent 1, 2, 3 will be.
And then your personalization is based on the context of the industry or whatever, right?
Yes. Tools and where you want to do research from. So I'll have maybe a 1-2 week conversation with the two of you. You'll be like, bro, this flow looks good. I will create this flow on, let's say, something like an Excali draw. I'll show it to you. You said, hey, this looks good. I will also build a prototype, let's say, using one of these platforms like Lovable or Bolt. Once you say this is amazing, then we'll move forward. So what's happening today is, I'm showing you end state. In the future, you should be able to just plug and play 90% of it, build it on your own, and take it live.
Yeah, it should be like it's like how you create that workflow chart, you move stuff together. You know, the old flow charts, we could actually automate the whole thing.
Exactly.
Drag and drop stuff. I thought it's going to become that simple.
So there are lots of companies that are now start coming to this space, obviously.
Sure.
Right?
Because the barrier to entry is very limited, right?
So N8N has raised 64 mil. They've done this. So they started in 2018, but they've gotten jumped in the space. It's a company called Make.com. They're very low code. And imagine in N8N, let's say they're like, you have lots of nodes. What Lyzer does is, it's greater for like low code developer folks, high customization, but we've abstracted a lot of that stuff. So instead of you having 10, 13 like nodes, it'll be like, oh, there are 3 nodes. But within the agent, all of that is composed. So yeah. On the VC, we have one example where we're doing one on the Accenture, which is they have a corporate venture arm.
Seriously.
They've invested in like 700 startups.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They look at a startup every week. So what have they done? They have an agent to say, the CVC's mandate is I have to send an email out per week to my management, be like, hey, this is the startup you need to look at. So a lot of companies apply to their platform called Refinery.
Okay.
They fill up that information. So one
Is that at a global level or India Accenture?
India level. Okay. There's another thing that we're doing. So we're doing like 6-7 projects with Accenture India and global.
Okay.
So with this in Accenture India, it will be, so I need to remind the startups to fill this information. So what if that process could be automated with agents? Second is the information, let's say, what if I didn't have to ask them? I can go to different websites, Crunchbase, all of that, scrape that, fill that information. Now from there, I have a criteria, right? You have a criteria of how your investment thesis, I put the criteria and automatically pulls out a startup. You review it, this looks good. Okay, from here, next step is convert this into a format which can go on Outlook. Nice, beautiful, done. Hey, one of their mandates was, I don't want to work with this agency. Let's say. Sad for that agency. But that's what's happening. It's crazy, right? It's like, so it only makes sense if we are saying everyone's shrinking external help.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it self-composed.
Yeah.
I'll give you context also. Like we have HubSpot. We spend I'm sure you guys have used HubSpot. $800 to $1,500 a month. It's not hard to build a HubSpot equivalent and start using it internally.
Yeah, exactly.
So now that's why SaaS, for them to stay relevant, you're like, brother, I put all my data on there, make it really difficult for me to migrate that data and give me a chat interface so you can give me insights. Today, HubSpot, I'm still looking at dashboards in a very static way.
Yeah, it's not dynamic. And ChatGPT just launched an integration with HubSpot or something. And HubSpot is, guys,
Yeah.
that have integrated with ChatGPT.
Yeah. So that's not hard also.
Yeah. No, but see, on the bright side, and I think I'm a tech optimist.
Good.
I don't ever believe that technology is going to ruin the world, because if that were the case, we would have had Armageddon many times over. But this technology at this time we are at, I think AI can be used to leverage on ideas faster, cheaper, better. So if you're going to start avoiding doing grunt work that you used to have people to do and get that automated and use AI, you can get to do higher value stuff. You upskill people to kind of realize their potential. So it's going to be better building companies. It's going to be better disrupting businesses.
And more efficient companies.
And more efficient companies, right?
Yeah.
Because there's one, I mean, I started in the IT services space, but I think like our good friend Subs keeps saying over and over again, I think we are sitting in a period of time where even these services organizations are going to get like venture type growth because of the volume of work that they've done in the past.
Correct.
And the productivity per employee is like super
Yeah.
high.
And cycles of delivery reducing, let's say, by
Exactly.
Yeah.
Better quality, better cycles of delivery.
Yeah.
So you suddenly you could have a law firm which like 8 people that could scale.
Yeah.
Because the volume of data and the volume of different clients that ingesting could just exponentially increase.
Yeah.
But you have these LLMs, RAG models, whatever. So
Yeah, I think the Infosys stories, it took them 23 years to hit the first billion. And the 24th year, it took them
2 billion.
2 billion, right? So they doubled it in the 24th year, right? Imagine the growth Infosys will have over the next 10
Yeah, because they've got scale and they've got that volume of data, the volume of projects that they've executed.
Yeah.
That's their enterprise value and workflow and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then harnessing that, even companies at that scale could grow a lot faster.
That's what they're saying. There'll be more trillion-dollar companies that'll kick in because of AI, right? So how are the two of you using AI and ChatGPT today?
You should start.
I mostly use it for research work
Sure.
because what I realized is the basic plan of ChatGPT is excellent for summarizing trends. For example, you can just upload annual reports of companies, and then instead of going through the annual report, doing like what we used to do when we were starting out, or you can just extract information a lot, make it like you can get a lot of powerful insights.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe with ChatGPT is, and maybe that will change eventually, is a lot of times it makes up data.
Yeah.
For example, so I don't really use ChatGPT to give me advice for abstract thinking, like, hey, which stock should I buy? Because I know I can do that better. Where I use ChatGPT is for the grunt research work that usually an analyst would do. A very interesting example at what's happening in IB, investment banking, is like wherever you do an IPO, you have to make a really long document. It's called DHRP. Now that could run into hundreds of pages. Now so far everything was manual. Now all these IBs have realized is 95% of DHRP you could do it through AI.
Right.
So instead of taking a month doing a DHRP,
Which is the red herring.
red herring draft,
Red herring, yes. Okay.
yeah, people are doing it in one day. So to me, that is the most powerful case of AI, that it won't help us think,
Yeah.
but it will make us much more efficient.
Agreed. That's a good.
This is how I look at AI.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to outsource my thinking to AI or my writing to AI, but everything a lot around research, grunt work, filling up Excel sheets that would take days, AI can do it with Jiffy.
Sorry, I'm just going to interject. I actually started outsourcing a lot of my thinking to AI, which is worrying me in the long term, because a lot of the ones who are in high school, they start doing that. Then my dependency on AI is so high. It's like saying we used to learn multiplication tables earlier, and then calculator came along. A lot of people didn't know how to do, let's say, 18 into 5, right? And I don't want to put someone under the bus, mostly my wife, but I just what has happened is, but that's not a need anymore. No.
Right,
Now it's
exactly.
like there's some new set of needs that we have to bring to the table. So
I think, see, the only advantage of doing multiplication table is not because you need it, but maybe it sharpens your brain.
yeah,
That's it. You're never going to do like 18 times 5 or 18 times 84. It just makes your brain smarter.
yeah,
It trains your brain cells. That's how I look at writing or learning a language. Because in today's world, maybe you don't need to learn a language. But if you learn a language, it hardwires your brain in a different way. Like maybe it offsets dementia, it just makes you smarter, wiser. Same as reading. So that's how I look at AI, to enhance me, but not outsource my thinking.
yeah,
But that's my perspective.
yeah.
Well, I have a very anti-AI sort of answer. So I don't
You're a
use
tech optimist,
I'm a
but you're
tech optimist.
anti-AI.
Yeah, it's because I'm just stupidly lazy. But so I play around with a lot of tools. I don't use any of them on a regular basis. Not even ChatGPT. Maybe once in a while. But I surround myself with people who know AI really well. I consume content which is cutting edge of AI. But I kind of firmly believe that I'm at the intersection of real relationships and workflows. So my edge is that I know people, I know how to connect, and that's where I want to keep that edge. I don't necessarily have to be the most productive person on the planet, right? I built this slow cooking LLM models of relationships up in my head, and I've been consuming information about tech.
Yeah.
I know what platforms are emerging, etc., etc. I don't need to do it. I just need to figure out who are the right people in my team, who I'm collaborating with, who use the product, right?
Yeah.
But I would love to do this whole data sources in terms of sales, marketing. How do you get that and create interfaces that will help a lot more founders?
Right.
But you can have Lyzer do it for you.
Yeah, I just should. I think we should do a
Yeah.
We should do a session actually. Yeah, it'll be very good. But I love the way it's going. I love the way it's going because I think, like you said, content, editing, video, audio, AI is able to make all of this benchmark very quickly. It's able to do a lot more research that you would have had to go to a McKinsey 3 years back or 5 years
Yeah.
back to do. Today it's there in your fingertips.
Yes. There's a startup, I forgot the name, but they raised like 12 mil on their seed round. They have started, remember there was a point like customer feedback, I'll be like, okay, Sandeep, what do you think of this product? So they have started, like imagine there are AI avatars
Yeah.
with fed questions and you can get customer feedback about your product very quickly.
Yeah.
So like everything now, as much as you're in that point where the node where everyone comes to you, I think what's becoming interesting though is like, hey, I can technically start something on my own and build end to end without anybody's dependency.
Yeah, absolutely. So think about it. Even like 3 years back, 4 years back, people were creating virtual influencers.
Yeah.
So imagine marrying virtual influencers with physical product, getting feedback and getting that at scale.
Yeah.
And then segmenting it out based on the different types of people and the products. Voila, you're as good as what a PNG does or a Unilever does in that particular category. That's super powerful in my book.
And imagine you could hyper segment where the avatars specifically talks English, Hindi, Tamil, Kannada, like all languages.
You go vernacular,
Or
all
global.
of that, right?
Yeah.
Right. My one, again, like since we're talking about AI, I just think right now the AI writing is not up there, because whenever you read an AI written content or text, you realize that, to me at least, because I try to read a bit, it sounds a bit robotic, it sounds a bit
Did
mechanical.
you say read a bit? I think you read a lot. But anyway.
But eventually, I'm sure that will also happen, that you will have the AI writing would be at par with the top what we can write as human beings.
You know, there was an did the two of you watch Succession?
I've heard about it. I've not watched it. Is it?
Great show. You should absolutely watch it.
Yeah.
So there's somebody who took a lot of the script from Succession, put it in ChatGPT, and then said, okay, if you have to create a scene between these three doing this, what would it look like? Spot on. It looked like, oh my God, they were representing the characters. You're right about it feels less human. But I think it came down to the same thing. Like if you keep adding context
Right.
over a period of time,
You're going to enrich it.
Eventually, it will be.
yeah.
Right.
And how specific do you want it to be? Like, I think a lot of people are good at saying, hey, this is what I want. I think you have to be also very good at saying, this is what I don't want.
Don't want.
So you set the limits on both sides and then
Right.
create the output.
So, under the way things are going, the moat is going to be in two things. One is you build vertical, go very deep, and the ultimate mode is in distribution, right? So how are Indian startups poised to leverage on both these aspects?
It's a good point. So if you think about most Indian startups, at least the ones that are in the upper echelon, they want to sell to the US. To sell to the US, you have to move to the US because the network effects kick in the US. So we are poised to build distribution only if we move there, and then there is that VC also most probably has some distribution help in the US, right? And I think to your point, the verticalization actually is supremely important. You don't have to go full stack in terms of I've built an LLM from scratch for manufacturing, or but are you at least building the applications or the agents specifically for one industry? And what I'm seeing with Indian startups is even fundraising, like it's a lot easier to, like you could go to Louisiana, and which is a $250 billion GDP, and raise your $5 billion, right? So I think US is now a $30 trillion economy, right?
Exactly.
It's crazy. So not that you can't raise from India, but I think it's just making sense to go US. And I think I heard a VC also say like, hey, build global, like don't think about building locally at all. I think Vaibhav, I think he runs better. I think he put out a post as well. So that makes sense. I think I think Shiva is a second-time founder. So he moved to New York like three years back. So he's been very clear, listen, like we're only building for the US. So when we get inbound from India, like you end up having those conversations, but it's like, oh, do a POC.
Right.
They'll drag it on. Like in the US, people are going to spend $30,000 for a 3-month POC. Here, like, bro, I will show me merit in the first 3 months, and I've spent all my time and my resources going with you, right? So I think you should circumvent India if you can. I think my honest opinion. But yes, I think we have to start thinking more about feeling. Like the most human thing about us is, I guess, the reptilian brain. And if we can start thinking about how to connect with people on an emotional level. So like, how do I bring that into the product? How do I bring that into the platform? Is there like a feeling, human angle over and over again that I can reiterate? Yeah. So I think those are two things, if we can do, great. But it's tough. I think it's tough for Indian startups right now.
Right. And how do you build distribution in US then as an Indian startup? Like you said, first of all, you need an investor who has some distribution. But then what's next? What do you do? Selling, I don't think it's easy in US because there is intense competition. There are a lot of smart startups selling to.
But it is pretty meritocratic though. And like to the earlier point, like if you go vertical, there are not a lot of vertical focused startups yet. They may be actually, but like in terms of selling, right? Like you can still do a lot of go-to-market from India. Like if you look at our Lyzer itself, we have like 8 people in the US. We have 52 people in India, and our entire marketing team sits here. Okay. And on the sales side, we have sales side on the partnership folks, and then Shiva sitting out of the US, right? So you can build a lot of like humdrum and like this momentum from here, but the last mile conversation, oh, I'm in New York. There's also this psychological sense of, oh, you are in the same city.
Sure.
Versus, oh, dude, you're selling from India.
Yeah, why don't you come down and meet us or have a coffee or whatever?
Yeah. So I think, Indians are a little more like, bro, add me on WhatsApp and then I'll come and see you. I think they're a little more like, oh, at least you're in the same tri-state area. So I think that psychological safety they feel. But yeah, you can build. We have done that pretty well. I think I wrote a post about this also recently, which is if you dominate LinkedIn, dominate SEO, dominate YouTube, build a lot of partnerships with like the big players, AWS, Google, IBM, and then after that also do a lot of partnerships with like companies that are ancillary to us. You could do that because a lot of people look at Lyzer and be like, oh, I think it's a US based startup, right? But we are a US based startup, but we have a small presence in the US, right? So yeah, I think that's how they should look at it. And the other angle, I was actually talking to another Indian startup. They'll have 22 people. The first GTM hire will be the 23rd person.
Sure.
I think you should flip it. Hire GTM folks early and not the sales folks. Hire the marketing folks. I remember Shiva made a conscious effort, I think realized that distribution is going to be super important. Our marketing team is almost like 12, 13 people.
Wow.
Where one person just dedicated for LinkedIn, one person just dedicated for YouTube. One, like a small set of folks just for like Reddit seeding. So a lot of stuff like that's happening, I would say, across the board.
And how did... You were asking something?
No. I think no. The the small segue I had was having dedicated people who can own channels
Yeah.
is super, super important, because sometimes people think that they can hire a marketing team and a marketing head and they can master all channels. I always prefer to go with an expert journalist, saying that somebody can crack YouTube, somebody can crack content. That content flows into YouTube, that flows into emails, whatever. I think that's a better way to approach GTM than kind of going a journalist route.
Yeah. If you have the luxury,
Yeah.
right? If you don't, then obviously then you'll end up having, mostly have a designer, you'll have a video person, you'll have a content person, which is a writer. You need someone to manage the whole thing, right? The Gen AI associate role is picking up. We hired that early. There's a person in my team who's pretty good. He has a developer background, so he's building a lot of products for lead gen, building assessments, building playbooks, building like a Lovable plus Lyzer. That I think is a key person you should bring in early on in your GTM.
Sure. As a product business, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also curious because both of you are GTM guys. How different is building a GTM for an AI product versus GTM for a traditional SaaS? Is there a big difference or the rules are broadly the same?
I think you should take a crack at it first.
I think rules are pretty much the same. You have to get better with positioning and you have to execute faster. I think it's become more about how quickly are you able to put stuff out. But yeah, you most probably use the same channels. You'll most probably spend money on certain set of things like tools or like, especially like, for example, for us, we're still very SEO LinkedIn heavy, right? Which will still be for a SaaS business. And for enterprises, you still will have to build a relationship with like the big hyperscalers, right? So I don't think from a SaaS versus AI is very different. But what you should be doing, I think the team structure is changing a little bit. Team structure is changing. Capabilities of what is expected of an individual is changing. I can tell you for an AI startup, you need to have a little more technical know-how. So the people that we end up hiring are not just your traditional marketers anymore. Like they're developers or product folks who have built something and then, hey, like, can you join the marketing team? So that is, I guess, a sense of expectation for sure.
Brilliant. I mean, this was so insightful, and I think we just hit you at the right moment, and it's so everybody's talking agentic, and I think we couldn't have gotten better insights, none other than somebody who's been in the trenches. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And of course, you know this wonderful space because you're on floor above. The kind folks at Beehive
Yes.
who have hosted our podcast every time. I hope you go on and scale this business.
We hope so.
A lot more.
And thank you so much for having me. I think both of you are superstars in your own. It's good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Many thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.